Hey, it's Chris from the Chris Stefanic Show. We dive into how to live a more joyful life every day, the kind of life that God created you for. Check it out.
So I never really grew up with it, and I really found myself, sports was a way to get love into my own life, and kind of that acknowledgement and affirmation from my parents, because the divorce was really nasty. And so whether or not I actually...
So they were locked into the anger toward one another, and,
That's right.
And then you got nothing.
And I got pushed in the middle. I mean, there was one point in the divorce that I had to pick who I wanted to live with, and I was in third grade.
And they're asking you...
Yeah, I had to go in front of the judge and pick who I was going to live with. And at the time, I don't really know any better. You don't want to make that decision, but it started to really...
the burden of that.
That's right.
It's such abuse. I mean, and I understand there are some times where parents have to separate. That maybe someone's in an abusive situation, but whether it's for a reason someone could justify or not, it always takes the pain of the couple and hands it to a kid.
No question.
And that's just an unfortunate reality and fallout from this. But it's heartbreaking to think of you as a third grade kid having to make a decision like that.
Totally.
Who'd you decide?
I ended up going with mom.
Yeah.
Pressured, whether or not I never wanted to make that, but it was definitely one of those things leading up to it, like pick me, pick me, pick me. And Dad was more passive, so we never really put that pressure, but you felt it on both sides. And
my gosh.
As I've gotten older,
So of course you grew up thinking I'm responsible for everyone's happiness.
And I thought I was the fault for the divorce. So it was really heavy. But then the only way that I would get mutual affirmation was through athletics.
I swear every success story has some dysfunction.
No
really,
question.
not everyone, but like there's so many incredibly successful people that there's a dysfunction guiding the success.
That's right.
That only lasts so long. At some point, you got to either dump the dysfunction or you just get burnt out.
No question.
But, go ahead. Sorry.
I've seen it, especially in sports. I think you see the best of the best in sports have they're either out to prove somebody wrong or try to redeem themselves, and so they have some broken relationship that it's driving them. Because I think you have to reach that level.
Brother, it's a ministry too.
No question.
It's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Go ahead. We can make a whole show on that one.
Totally, that's a whole nother loaded topic.
Yeah.
So my story kind of evolved. I was never the most athletic. I was always the biggest, tall, lanky kid. And then in high school, my mom finally allowed me to play football.
What grade were you in high school?
Freshman.
Okay.
And then it slowly started to kind of take off, and I started to kind of get a little acknowledgement from just my parents, as well as just notoriety in newspaper and whatnot, and then ended up getting a scholarship offer to the University of Colorado.
Huge.
And it was really just kind of all about me and trying to make it to the NFL, and had the dream of buying my mom a house and kind of that classic story, but no religion or bigger picture. So my identity was really wrapped up into football.
The pressure, that's insane.
That's right. And especially for something I enjoyed the moments. I didn't love the sport.
Yeah.
But I loved my parents loving me. So it would drive me to want to have more success. And
that works as long as you're at the top of your game and winning every time.
That's right. Well, so to that point, I go to University of Colorado as a quarterback. Freshman year, I just have a horrific season. I was redshirting and whatnot.
What position were you?
Quarterback.
Oh, quarterback. Sorry.
No. Oh, yeah. So I went there as a quarterback. Chose CU for that reason, and then we get a new head coach, and they asked me to move to tight end.
Okay.
So now I'm in this position of, do I stay or do I transfer? Do I try to please my mom? She loved the fact that I was a quarterback, and same with Dad, all the above. But I didn't want to leave Boulder. I loved Boulder too much.
Yeah.
So I stayed, but I ultimately really hated football. Like I was really over it. But that was my identity. Like
that's misery.
That it is. You're playing for people at home to call you and check in on you. Otherwise, they're not really.
Wow.
And so I really began to hate it. And then my junior and senior year, things started to kind of work out. Going from it's illegal to hit me my entire life at quarterback to now being the lead blocker was the hardest move I've ever made.
Physically a rough job.
Yeah, that I wanted nothing to do with. So I was pass catching.
Wow.
And it started to kind of work out.
It's really, I'm just contemplating, man. I just, that I could see the direct connection to the third grade kid having to make mom happy.
Yep.
Miserable playing football, it makes mom happy.
Yeah, I mean, my mom,
right?
she was the one that wore all the pins.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
had it all over herself and knew that was her pride and joy. And almost her identity became me, especially, being at that point, she had been remarried, but it was another broken relationship. And it was about me and my success, which made it really tough. And you didn't want to let her down. So I ended up starting to make it work out. And then so I got a little bit more excited about it and just assumed that when I was done, I would get a good job and make Forbes 30 under 30.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the vision. And I ended up getting an opportunity to go to the Seattle Seahawks.
Hating football.
But in my mind, I was like, okay, at least now I can check the box, say I made it.
For everybody else.
Yep. But I want out.
Man, wasn't that great? I get so much out of these conversations. I know you will too. Be sure to hit subscribe and share the show with everybody you know. We'll see you in the next video.